Hi, this is Mike Tidwell with Earthbeat Radio, reporting straight from the Bella Center here in Copenhagen, Denmark, at the Copenhagen Treaty Talks. We're on the next to the last day, Thursday, before the finale tomorrow, Friday, and still there's no final agreements that are emerging. The good news, of course, from this conference is the overwhelming participation of activists from all over the world, tens of thousands of activists. In fact, if you ask anyone who was at the Kyoto climate talks in 1997 and are here in Copenhagen, they'll tell you that the salient, the biggest difference has been the amount of activist voices that are here as opposed to Kyoto. The world really is here in Copenhagen. The voices of indigenous people, youth, faith leaders. It's been amazing. It's been a spectacle. It's been inspiring. But unfortunately today, those voices are not here. The UN has severely restricted badges. Tens of thousands of people from non-governmental organizations and others have been denied badges. It's mostly just media. It's the heads of state and their staffs. And the Bella Center, which for almost 2 weeks has been just full of people, full of noise, full of creativity, is now almost empty as the heads of state arrive, which is a loss, many of us believe, for these climate talks. Of course, the rest of the world continues to focus on this. In fact, if you Google Copenhagen today, you get 43 million hits. So the world is here, the media are here, but the activists have been pushed downtown. They haven't left the city. There's still tens of thousands of activists everywhere. If you get on the Copenhagen metro, you see activists with 350.org at every metro stop holding up that number, 350. So that remains quite in play. There are demonstrations, vigils planned for later today, an aerial photograph tomorrow, Friday, of people spelling out 350 equals survival. So the activists are still in town, if not in the same building with the negotiators. Of course, as of today, Thursday, there is still no final agreement on any of the major features of the climate talks. No agreement on how the rich countries will finance clean energy development in the developing world. No final agreement on deforestation and how to prevent it. And certainly no agreement on reduction goals and commitments for actually reducing emissions worldwide. The number, again, 350, keeps coming up over and over among the activist community and in the press. However, just yesterday, President Barack Obama's chief science advisor, John Holmgren, said that the U.S. delegation was shooting for 450 parts per million carbon pollution. Of course, it's that number 350 that Dr. James Hansen of NASA, America's most famous and credible climate scientist, has said is the only level that's safe for the atmosphere by 2100. So that number 350 still is not in the final treaty text and is becoming a problem for the groups that feel like this is our last chance to get a good deal. Bill McKibben, the head of 350.org, has called for a day of fasting around the world, 24 hours of fasting for people who want a real deal, so-called real deal treaty here in Copenhagen. I'm fasting, others are fasting around the world. Jeremy Simons of the National Wildlife Federation has said the problem is that the United States delegation here negotiating suffers from ADD. That's ambition deficit disorder, according to Simons, and it certainly seems to be the case. It appears the United States so far just wants a treaty, any treaty, a piece of paper, so one can wave, we have peace in our time and go home. And unfortunately, as the president of the Maldives, Mohammed Nasheed, said earlier this week, the climate doesn't negotiate. There's no compromising with parts per million carbon in the atmosphere. But again, there are many actions still left to be played out here in Copenhagen. A final deal is yet to be had, and the activist community that make this so different than the Kyoto talks is still here in the city wherever you turn. I'm Mike Tidwell with Earthbeat Radio.